30 years later. All right.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Builders Call. Just as we jump in this morning, my name's Casey Council Jiha. I think I know everyone, or mostly everyone that's on the call. I see a couple of new names and new faces. So if you're jumping on this call for the first time, we want to welcome you. This call happens the first and third Tuesday of every month. And the purpose of the call is to be able to create a larger collaborative conversation around building an organization here within EXP, sharing best practices. And specifically today, what we are going to do is roll out an 8-week plan in addition, in anticipation rather of the Build conference that's coming up in San Antonio, Texas. And if you're brand new today, or if you've been here for a year or multiple years, you'll leave the call today with very clear direction on what there is to do, how to do it. In addition, we have a really incredible interview set up from a man that I respect and admire greatly, who's been in the real estate industry for 20 years and is somebody that is a servant leader. He has an incredible following and agents that he's been in business and partnership with over multiple years because of who he is as a person. So I'm excited to interview him on today's call as well. So as we jump in today, if there's questions that come up, feel free to put them in the chat below. If we have time at the end of the call, we may open it up for some Q&A. We may have some time for that. And really more than anything today, I want to start off and just have you, I want to have you close your eyes and just take a breath and get in your body. If you've been running around already today, depending on what time zone you're in, and just close your eyes and get really centered and clear. And as you close your eyes and take a deep breath, I just want you to think about why you're here. And, every day we get up with a new day and a new possibility and a new opportunity to create and a new opportunity to impact. But specifically, as you've taken time out of your day today, this Tuesday, I want you to get clear on why you are here on this call today. And really at this point in your business and your life, I want you to ask the question, why am I here? I would invite you to take 100% responsibility for whatever that answer is. And then most importantly, I would like you to ask yourself, what do I really want moving forward? And what can I learn today or glean today that's going to support me on my individual journey, knowing that where I'm at is perfect and where I'm going to go is unlimited and anything is possible. So I'm going to have you open your eyes now. And I find that, a lot of the times we can be running around multitasking and doing things and going a million different directions and be like, little talking heads, or just there's so much always going on in the business of real estate. And it's important to come back to the most important thing, which is ourselves, right? And what's important for us, and get really clear on why we're here and where we're going. All right. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about an 8-week plan leading up to Build in San Antonio. So just by a show of hands, how many of you have attended a Build conference at any point? Just by a show of hands. Okay, so we've got a handful of people that have attended that. If you're not on video for some reason, please go ahead and just raise your hand through the Zoom chat. Sherry Mason, thank you. Okay, so it looks like we have maybe half of the people that are on this call that have attended that experience. I'd like to, just for a brief moment, take a couple of shares from anybody that has attended a Build conference, what the impact was for you, either in your life or your business. So just come off mute. Anyone that would like to share, we'll take a couple of shares on that.
Sure, I'll go ahead. I've been to a couple now, and each time, regardless of where I am in my life, in my business, production, rev share, it has given me just a boost of energy to be around so many people and so many amazing people, to see people who are just starting their journey, people who've been on their journey for a while, but you have an opportunity to network with some of the best in the business for whatever you're looking to do. If you want to build your real estate business, you've got an opportunity to do that. If you want to build your revenue share, you've got an opportunity to do that. So it just, I mean, it just lights a fire under your ass.
Okay, cool. I think it's Tony Robbins that says proximity is power. And when you put yourself in the proximity of people that are creating amazing things, it elevates us. That would be, you know, how I would summarize the experience that you just shared. Does anyone else have something else they'd like to share as it relates to your experience after having attended Build?
Sure, I'll tell you. I actually just put a deal in escrow yesterday in Arizona that I met a guy from Durango, Colorado at Build last year and sent me a referral. So there's a recent story along with, there's a lot of inspiration, just the contacts, the conversations that you can have there, the access to all the leaders in every organization. You know, the speakers are top notch, and I mean, it's a pretty phenomenal event.
Amazing. And so, Brent, based on the price point of the deal that you just referenced, did Build pay for itself?
Yeah, then it was $500,000 deal, and I think it's 2.5 or 3%. I don't even know, something like that. So I'm guessing 2.5%.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's worth it.
So as a result of you being at Build, you created a relationship, got a referral, and that, let's call it, let's be conservative and call it 10 grand, right? So any monies that you spent, you're definitely profitable. The event paid for itself, and you have several $1,000s of profit, plus all of the information, inspiration, and relationships as a result of you attending that event.
Yeah, I want to, when I go to events, I want to meet everybody I possibly can. I friend them on Facebook and Instagram, and I want them in my world, right? Because I never know where that connection is going to lead. And I also will use different organizations to help build my organization. So like if I think they have a niche market and somebody that I'm trying to recruit has a niche that can match with that, then I'll use that as another tool. So
I love that. So what I want to highlight in that is that you're a real estate sales professional, right? You've been in the industry 20 years. We're going to hear more from you a little bit later in this call. However, by investing in yourself, putting yourself at a place to learn and grow and continue to develop as an agent and as a business person, when we commit and make that investment in ourselves, the return is always far more than anything we've financially committed at that moment in time to physically attend and be at that event. So, you know, a lot of times, I know we have tons of people in our organization that have never been to Build or any events within EXP, actually, and would wonder, you know, well, why would I invest the time? Why would I invest the money to do that? Versus it being like a non-negotiable. Of course, you know, I'm going to continue to invest in myself and in my business and do that. So for those of you that are wondering, well, you know, maybe you haven't heard about what Build is or where you find it, I'm going to pull up and share my screen right now. And then we're going to jump into the 8-week execution plan on how to utilize this, because the focus, of course, of this call is building and scaling an organization within EXP. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and take you to empirebuilderspro.live under the resources tab. When you go to that website, if you scroll down, upcoming live training events, you'll see Build 23 with a live link to register. And when you click on register here, it will give you access to be able to register for the event that is July 10th, 11th, and 12th in San Antonio. However, we're going to talk about the importance of arriving July 9th for those of you that are planning to attend and planning to use this as a way to build and grow your organization. So right now, it's an interesting time because I haven't talked to anybody that has noticed that how 2020 was so much different than 2019. how 2021 was so much different than 2020, how 2022 was so much different than 2021, and how 2023 so far is so much different than 2022. And why I bring that up is that as our external environment continues to shift and change, be that in the real estate sales industry or what's going on in the world or what's going on in our personal lives or a combination of everything that goes in that pot, the one thing that remains consistent and that remains steady is us and what we are committed to creating and bringing, regardless of what's going on in our external environment. And so there's there's this little, it's kind of like, this catchy phrase, committed people follow committed people. I'll say it again, committed people follow committed people. And at any point in time, people are looking for people to follow. So the first, question that I would invite everybody to ask themselves is, would I follow me? Like, would you follow you? Based on committed people following committed people. And it doesn't matter what your answer is to that. I'm not going to ask you to share what that is. However, it's a great check-in as a starting point for this conversation, because whether you're brand new in EXP or you've been here and you're at some point, you have, some kind of an organization that you've built or you're in the process of building, is that this is going to ring true again and again. Committed people follow committed people. And there is an underlying thing in life and business that has to do with energy and how energy works and the impact of energy and what impact that has as we touch our businesses and as we touch our lives. So, at this point in time, I think that revenue share and having an additional income stream is more important for a lot of people than maybe it was in 2021 or in 2022. And, or maybe in the several years before that, when real estate deals seemed to be dropping off the backs of trucks and cars, and you just had to be there to be a person to pick it up. Right. So in addition to the market that we're in now being a skills-based market, the landscape, which is always changing and shifting, is continuing to change and shift, which requires skill-based agents and having skill sets to be able to thrive regardless of what's going on in the market. But it also highlights an even greater weight, or it's not the right word, an even greater impact of having income outside of just the day-to-day real estate transaction. And really, in addition to working hard, which is a great thing, to also work smart. And so this idea of the impact, which we've talked about on, multiple calls before, of, the brilliance of Glenn Sanford going, okay, well, here's my vision and I want to create this company and I want to do it without bricks and mortar. And what's the way to make the biggest impact possible? Oh, well, it's to reward the behavior that I want to incentivize, which is having agents that are going to be a part of the company be willing to open their mouths with their relationships and share about the experience of what it's like to be an agent at EXP. And what do we do to incentivize that behavior? Well, we reward it financially. And the people that do that more receive more financial rewards from doing that. And the people that teach other people how to do that and support them in doing that same thing receive even more financial rewards for doing that, really to an unlimited amount. And so the greatest thing is that, whether it's going to be $100 a month in revenue share, $100,000 a month in revenue share, $1 million a month in revenue share, which people are earning all across that spectrum and more, is that at the end of the day, what it comes down to is your commitment to the vision that you have and daily what you're doing to grow and to build and to develop. And so a lot of times people will go, well, what is there to do and how do I do it? And the truth is that when you get someone to a large event like Build, they have an opportunity to experience something that's impossible to replicate over a Zoom or over a conversation. It is not possible to replicate the experience of Build over a Zoom or over a conversation. And so the importance of utilizing major events like this is that whether they're people that are not with EXP yet, or they're people that are in your organization that have never attended a large event like this, connected to EXP, that it will take wherever they're at in their life and their business and upgrade them to an entirely new, different version and space from where they are before they attend the event. And so the build event, as we look at the build event, we look at it from two different perspectives. We look at it from the agents that are not with EXP and how do we have a plan in place that over the next 8 weeks, we can have people that are not yet with the company commit to attending that event with us. And then the second way that we look at the build event is who are the agents that we're already in partnership with or already working together with, and how do we maximize the number of those agents that will commit to attending that event for themselves, for their real estate business, and for the real estate sales future. Because when you're looking at an organization in VXP, it's not how many agents you have in your organization, it's what's the productivity of those agents and what's happening for them in their sales businesses. So all of this becomes very important and really key. So we're going to jump into an 8-week plan and strategy of exactly what there is to do. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Actually, I'm not going to share my screen quite yet. Can you still, Selena, will you text me? Are you still able to see me the same way on video? Or just come off and let me know, come off mute.
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, perfect. Because I have you guys zoomed out. I'm going to share this at the end so that I have your attention while we're having the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so and there's Rick Jiha in the background. It's like the voice of God coming over the airwaves. Okay, so here's step one. And I'm going to invite you to take notes because everything, if you look at how to really create value, you want to answer these 3 questions. Why, what, how? Why, what, how? Why, what, how are always going to be really important things to become clear on. So under step 1, clearly define your vision. And when we go run that through why, what, how, like, why are you at EXP? Why would you decide to go to build versus not go to build? And if you're not going to build, how can you justify that supporting your real estate sales business or the growth of your organization? Then the question around your vision is, okay, well, so what's my vision? Is my vision in building an organization to make a difference in the real estate community? Is it to start to have some passive income so that, we're doing wealth creation in our family? Is it to offset the amount of real estate sales business that I'm doing so that I can improve my lifestyle? Is it to offset the fact that I'm producing less in this market? And so, whys change for people and visions change for people. The important thing is that you have one, right? Because in the absence of having one, you're probably not going to get up and really do anything to move the needle forward. So as you ask yourself that question, and clearly define your vision of, why you're here, where you're going ultimately, what can happen for people when they get into, survival mode is they get a very narrow focus on one thing versus a very expansive focus on what's the long-term vision and what's the game, the game plan for that, and stay connected to that. Because having that clear is going to, again, impact what happens day to day. Okay, step number 2, strategically organize your contacts. And we have, Selena, will you have the Trello board ready that you can share of how we're utilizing that, just to give people a snapshot of what that looks like? So, when I talk about organizing your contacts, I'm talking about people that are not with EXP, and I'm talking about people that are in your organization that are with EXP. So as we went through and we looked at our organization, and we did this a couple of weeks ago, I got a big piece of poster board out, and on the left-hand side in one color are all of the agents that are, great agents that are part of our EXP organization in our first couple of levels, agents that we've been personally responsible for recruiting to the company that have never attended a build or an EXP con or even a shareholders event, and agents that we know the attendance of that event and what it will do for them in their business is going to be critical. So we have visually on a big, and it sits in our dining room on the slider, so we see it every time we walk past it, is we have this whole list of agents who are already with EXP that our intention is to enroll them into joining us at the Build conference. We've got plenty of time to make that happen because we're 8 weeks out. Then in another color on the right-hand side are all the agents that were in conversation at some level of conversation, have been or are currently, that would be great to get to the conference. Now, there is discounted tickets for people that are not with EXP, 50% off. That is only while supplies last, and James Stroop, who's Brent Gove's business partner, will cut that off when there is no more. So there is an urgency around getting people committed and confirmed that are not yet with EXP to be able to get tickets at a 50% discount. Now, there's a process you have to go through to make that. They have to make sure that they're not with EXP. The ticket has to be purchased, and then they credit back half of the ticket amount. They have to have booked the hotel. Their name has to be on the hotel. Like, there's things, so it's not just a bunch of, half price tickets going out. But there's some urgency for people that are not with EXP. So as you think about how you strategically organize your contacts visually, Selena, will you share the Trello board? Because in addition to having everything up on a big poster board in a handwritten color, so it's there all the time, we also have it in a little bit more organized format to be able to know where people are at in that process. Because imagine, until somebody has a flight booked, until their credit card's on a room, they're not really coming. Even if they tell you they're coming, they're not coming. So here you can see how we've got it set up. Selena, thank you for organizing this. So 2023 build, we have the list of people. We've got them color coded by who's a no, who's a yes, who hasn't responded, who's declined, or who's attending in green, right? We've got them from our organization, and we've got them as far as prospects go. So we're able to have this active working sheet and know at any moment in time where people are at, which is going to be really important as we get into step number 3. So step number 3 in the 8-week plan is, how many conversations are you having every day? So by way of example, Selena and I drove from Monterey Bay area up to the Bay Area yesterday, which was a 2-hour drive. I had 13 conversations in a matter of 2 hours with people that are in our organization as it relates to this upcoming event, this call today, to prep for, over the next 8 weeks. So how many people are you touching, inviting, speaking to, not sending a text message, speaking to, not sending an email, speaking to? How many people are you speaking to every day? And unless you know how many people that you're physically speaking to every day, it's going to become really challenging for you to know or do any kind of business planning around actually building and growing and scaling an organization, because you won't know what your personal conversion is. At some point, it's not just, oh yeah, I gave them the invitation. There's a difference between inviting somebody and enrolling somebody. Who would like to tell me what the difference is between inviting someone and enrolling someone?
Inviting is and telling them, like, would you like to come? Enrolling is actually signing them up for the event.
Yes. And so there's a process that goes with enrolling, right? So if let's say by way of example, I'm talking to someone in my organization and they're like, oh, I don't know if we're coming or not. We're thinking about coming. Okay, well, let me know if you decide to come. Great. I've invited them. Versus a conversation around enrolling them. Well, why would you come? Well, why haven't you decided to come yet? And that's a different conversation of really digging in and then finding out. Enrolling somebody is finding out what they want and then supporting them and moving forward and doing that thing, which also at the same time gets what you want. Like, I want everyone from our organization to be at Build. Why? Because I know it's going to make a positive impact in their business and their life. There you go. Right now it becomes, oh, am I going to call them up and invite them to come or check in and see if they're coming? Or am I going to enroll them into coming because I'm clear on a value that they're not clear on, or they're focused on a challenge and an obstacle versus a vision? So that is the number of conversations each day is step number 3. Step number 4 is how many new three-way calls are happening every day? New third-party validation calls. This is one of the most underutilized things ever. Tom Costello, who's not on this call yesterday, put me on the phone with, he reached out and he's like, hey, I have a scout I want you to talk to. We did a 3-way call. He's like, well, I don't know if it's for her or not. She's on the fence. Like, all she wanted to hear was my story. And so I shared my story with her. And as a result of that, we have another call today set up at 3:00. And that call today set up at 3:00 is to go through empirebuilders.pro and show her the support that she's going to have as a newer agent around production, the community that she's part of, and how, while having a full-time job, she can also build a real estate sales business. As a result of being in partnership with us, the network that we have literally of thousands of agents, and the ability for her to do real estate globally, not just locally. And had that 3-way call not happened, chances are she wouldn't be where she's at, right? So who's talking to your people besides you? Because I don't care how great you are. I don't care how great I am. The impact of someone else talking to my people is going to be far greater potentially than the impact of me talking to my people. So how many new 3-way calls are you doing every day for the people that you're speaking with? And, 3-way calls with different people. Number 5 is following up. How many people are you following up with every day? And this is not new people. This is people that are somewhere in the conversation process with you. It could be a check-in, it could be a touch base. Like, where are you in that following up process? And then step number 6 is knowing your personal conversion plan. So if you really want to build an organization with EXP and you're like, oh, I'm committed to between now and the end of the year, let's say you want to enroll 5 agents personally, you want to sponsor 5 agents to EXP. Well, cool. That's great. How many agents do you have to have go through the process? How many agents do you need to have at build for 5 to come out the back end at some point this year? Because it's not going to be 1 agent or 2 agents at build with you. It's going to be, I don't know, what's your numbers, right? So let's look at EXP's numbers as a company. There's a difference between having a real estate agent move to EXP as their company to sell real estate, and a difference between that and somebody who's going to be a builder that's going to build an organization here with EXP, right? So if we look at the numbers of EXP, out of every 100 agents that are with the company, 7 or 8 have recruited or attracted other agents to the company. So if you want to have a builder, somebody that's going to build, 7 or 8 out of 100, how many people does that mean that you would be looking at having at that event, right? If you had 10 people that are now with EXP join you at the build event, you may have 1 builder in there. The rest are going to be producing agents, which is great. However, the conversion are 2 or 3 of them coming. The chances are probably higher that more of them are coming if you get them to the build event than if not. But unless you know your personal conversion on your activities around building an organization, you are not going to know what it's going to take for you to reach the goals that you have as far as that goes. So that becomes really important. Step number 7 is some kind of, celebration on progress of the steps that you are making. So let's say you're not utilizing 3-way calls at all right now, and you start utilizing 3-way calls. You've added something that is dramatically positively impactful for what you're going to grow and build. And that's something to be celebrated. Different people integrate different things at different times, right? Let's say you start actually looking at your activities and you've never looked at them before, and you start holding yourself accountable for conversations and activities and really reviewing those. And you've never done that before. Well, that's a huge win and something to celebrate, because you've added another You've added another, gear on the bike, so to speak, that's going to give you power to succeed as you move forward. Step number 8 is to review what's working and what can be improved. And this one's really important because a lot of times we don't acknowledge the things that are working. And so if we don't take time to acknowledge the things that are working, sometimes we stop doing the things that are working because we haven't stopped to acknowledge how well those things are actually working. And, Rick and I have this conversation often, which is like, you used to be doing this and it was working so well. And he's like, I know it's working really well. And I was like, well, why did you stop doing that? Well, because we, neglected to have conversations about how well those things were working to reinforce the fact that those are good things to keep doing. Right. So, and then areas to improve. And this is really important from a perspective of having a growth mindset, right? Because growing and building an organization here with EXP is something that is going to be a labor of love. And until you've done it, you'll have no idea what it takes to actually do it. I'm going to say that again. Until you've done it, you have no idea what it takes to actually do it, like zip. However, once you develop the skills and once you've executed those skills and you have and are creating an organization, nobody can take that from you. And of all the things that you'll have gone through to actually do that and create it. And then next thing is repeat. So those are 9 steps. Clearly define your vision, why, what, how. Strategically organize your contacts visually, whether you're using Trello or a paper, of agents that are non-EXP and agents that are already in your organization that are with EXP, using it as an upgrade for the event. Step number 3, like conversations. How many conversations are you having each day that are enrolling invitations? Step number 4, new third-party validation calls. Getting your people talking to somebody that's not you. Like, get them some exposure and have a conversation that can go further and faster as a result of utilizing that tool. Step number 5, how many people are you following up with each day in conversation? You've got 8 weeks, right? Number 6, know your personal conversion plan. If you're really serious about building a group here, you need to know, man, if I have, 10 agents that go through the invite process, seeing the model explained, jumping on a 3-way call, jumping on maybe some Zooms or events going on locally till they make that decision to come to EXP, and I'm a 1 for 10, and I want to invite, or I want to have, 5 agents join me at EXP between now and the end of the year. Well, that's 50 people I'm going to need to have in process based on my conversion of 1 to 10 that are actively getting invited. 50 people invited to all the events, 50 people invited to the Zooms, 50 people that are in the process of meeting other people in the organization and third-party validation calls. If that's what your conversion is. If you don't know your conversion, you're in like hope dope land of, hoping that it's going to happen versus knowing, like, it's easy to talk about things. However, when the rubber meets the road, can you produce a result? And what does it take to produce a result, right? Where you're influencing and moving someone else based on what's important for them. Okay, so we'll have that document visually that we'll share. But before we kind of jump into this next part, would love to just I'll stop talking for a minute. Any questions, comments, feedback, clarifications of what we've covered so far?
Yeah, I just had kind of like this an epiphany as you were talking, and this is as much for me as everyone else on this call. But Casey's talking about a process. This whole thing is a process, and we're not, at least myself, I didn't come out of the gates being good at recruiting. I'm still not. I'm working on it. Casey may not tell you this, but I consider her to be a master recruiter. She's very good at it. But I bought some furniture this weekend from IKEA. And if ever you've done that, you're building furniture all weekend. It's a pain in the ass. But so this nightstand has 3 drawers and you have to build the drawers. The first drawer, I've got the rails upside down. It took me a half hour to put it together. But by the 3rd drawer, 5 minutes, I had it all dialed in. And it's just because I had done that process and I had practiced. And I just realized that it's the same thing with recruiting. We're not going to be good setting up these third-party calls. We're not going to be good inviting to build, but you just have to do it. And the more you do it, you're just going to get better and better.
I love that. And for those of you that maybe want to develop skills faster, and exactly what you're talking about is so true, John, that it's a process and it's a system like anything, that if you're committed to learning it, you know, you're committed to learning it, and you don't need to be in the dark about it, because if I'm sharing my screen now, you go to empirebuilders.pro, tips under attraction and recruiting, specifically the Builders Bootcamp, which is 6 30-minute videos that will do a deep dive on multiple things that we talked about today. And how to do that is going to accelerate your learning curve, so you're not in the dark. If you haven't gone through that boot camp, it's about a total of 6 videos, 30 minutes, 3 hours, that you can go through bite size by bite size, and a third-party call. Schedule your 3-way call under recruiting support. Actually, third-party validation training right there. If you watch that once and you take notes on the framework of, you know, an effective third-party validation call, there's a framework. Clear the time, edify the prospect first, then edify and introduce the person that's doing the call with you, how to get those calls set up, you know, and they don't need to be weird. They can just be like, as, you know, as easy as, oh my gosh, based on what you said about your business and what you're working on, I know somebody that I believe that you'll want to meet. Let me see if I can possibly eke out 20 to 30 minutes of their schedule, because they're crazy busy. Like, as simple as that, just like you'd be introducing someone to anyone, right? Can be just very, very casual, very easy. Okay. Any other questions, comments, clarifications? No. All right. So I'm going to show you what there is to do next by sharing the document that I created of what we have been in conversation about so far. All right. Can you guys see that on the screen? Okay. So this 8-week strategy is every week you're revisiting your vision. Every week you're checking in to reorganize those contacts. Who needs to be added that I forgot about? Who's new that's come up, you know, since you do it, if you haven't done it initially. Like, every week you're revisiting these 8 steps. You're revisiting, oh my goodness, for last week, how many people did I talk to last week? How many people that were on, you know, third-party validation calls for the first time, or with a different person that I've introduced them to before? How many people did I follow up with last week? And out of all of that activity last week, what converted? Someone attending the event with me? Did someone just decide, hey, EXP is right for me, and they're moving over, and they move over before the event? Well, that's fine. And so every week over the next 8 weeks, if you treat the business like a business, it will pay you like a business. If you treat it like a hobby, it will pay you like a hobby. Hobbies cost money. They don't make money generally. So these are like really knowing, you know, your personal conversion, you celebrate any progress that you've had from the week before, review what's working and what can improve, and then step 9, repeat. So if you commit to doing this every week over the course of the next 8 weeks, you're going to have people at Build. However, what is there to do right now? Right now, committed people follow committed people. So have your flight booked right now. Now you'll notice the event starts on the 10th. However, please do not come in on the 10th, because the morning of the 10th, we have a special segment and event that's happening before Build starts that afternoon. And so to be able to attend that event will mean you arriving Sunday evening or at some point on Sunday to be there for the event that will start first thing Monday morning on the 10th. So when you are booking your flights, if you don't, like, until a flight is booked, somebody's not committed. Why? Because there's no financial skin in the game. So if you say to me, Casey, are you going to Build? And I say, yeah, I'm going to Build. Great. What flight are you on? Oh, well, I haven't booked it yet. You'll be in conversations with people all the way up to 3 days before the event. Yeah, I haven't booked my flights yet. Oh, well, flights are so much now. Oh, well, there's not a flight that's going to get me there now based on that. Like, if you have somebody that's committed, you know, somebody's committed because they've booked their flights. So book the flight to arrive on Sunday the 9th to be able to participate on the event that's going to happen on Monday the 10th in the morning. Book rooms now. We have 10 rooms that we booked with our names on them because we're committed to having rooms for the people that have not yet committed to coming to the event and to filling those rooms, and then get the tickets purchased, right? So those 3 things are action items to do right now. And now, as you have those things in place, when you're having conversations with people and enrolling them and inviting them, energetically, you've already put your money where your mouth is. And so the energy of like, you know, because some people will be like, well, you know, if I have somebody that goes with me to the event, I will go. But if I don't have anybody that's going, I'm not sure if I'm going to go or not. And then you go out and invite, and nobody's going to go with you because you're not committed to going yourself. You are only deciding to go if you've got someone else that's going to go with you. So, going back to this committed people follow committed people is really important. And everything starts with me, for me, starts with you, for you. So we'll distribute that document in Empire Builders Pro Facebook group. We'll post it in there so that everybody has access to it. And now what we're going to jump into is the most exciting part of the call, which is an interview with a human that I love dearly. So he has been in the real estate industry for 20 years. During that time, he has sold over 4,000 homes. So he is not somebody that talks about real estate or has an idea of how to sell real estate. He knows how to sell real estate. And he's had his own brokerage during that time. Collectively, between his own personal sales and the agents that have worked with him over the years, there's been more than 18,000 transactions that have happened. He was huge during the REO time. You heard from him a little bit earlier on the call today. He sold a house yesterday. What he didn't tell you about that was that it was sight unseen. Imagine doing that. Imagine living in one market and selling a house sight unseen in a totally different market. Does that expand your mindset about how you can sell real estate? Maybe. So he works actively between the Arizona and California markets. He's somebody that, as a result of his care for people, has garnered loyalty for the people that work with him. Before coming to EXP 5 years ago, he had his own brokerage. He had agents that followed him from that brokerage here. Today, his organization within EXP has 1,491 agents. So when you say, how many people are in your organization? 1,500-ish, 1,400-ish. No, he has 1,491 agents in his organization. How does he know that? He treats his business like a business, and he's looking at the growing of people and the supporting them in the real estate businesses in their lives every day. And he's very aware of the people that he has the opportunity to impact and lead. So Brent Conley, thank you so much for being with us today on the call. And for those people that have not met you yet, would love for you to just, start off sharing your quick story, and then we're going to back up into a more granular level, because what I know is that at any given time, we're always speaking to the newest person that's joined us, and let's give some actionable things that everybody can walk away with today to work on and be effective and improve. So let's start off with your story for those people that may just be meeting you for the first time.
Oh, geez, where should I start? Hey, hello, everybody. I don't really like talking about myself, but I will share this. I think it's relevant. And when I started my brokerages years ago, 2008 was at the bottom of the market. I came out of Keller Williams, and I was just an agent. I only wanted to be an investor in the brokerage. I had no desire to be a leader in the company. I just wanted to be a silent investor and collect checks. Right. And that turned into my partners wanting me to do office meetings and talk about stats, because I had a lot of listings back in 2008 and 2009. And so I started in a leadership role at office meetings. And so I was scared to death to go up in front of people and talk a little bit about the marketplace and what I was seeing, because I had all these listings in Arizona. So that's how I went into it. And I didn't want to become a leader. I was just selling real estate, like I said. So everybody on this call, I don't know where you're at in your journey, in your careers, but I think leadership is important, and starting from where you're at now, growing towards that leader that you're wanting to become. And part of that is modeling others. Part of that is finding people to find a role model, and, learning from other people, what they're doing, how they're operating their business, what they're saying, what they're doing. Because a lot of that will speak loudly to you of who you're going to follow. So I've been through Tony Robbins, been through UPW and Business Mastery. I just went through Landmark Forum and the advanced course. I just signed up for the leadership course. I'm still learning and growing as an agent. I go to a lot of different seminars, coaching companies and stuff like that to learn more from everybody else, because I think that every class or everything that you're going to attend, you're in a different spot in your life and your business. And I really think that you're going to get something out of everything that you go to if you're focused on learning one or two, three things. So background, I owned a trucking company and logistics brokerage when I was younger, 21, 22 years old, and went bankrupt. And I decided not to file bankruptcy. I ended up working off my debt and paying it back, because I said, I'm going to be in business the rest of my life. I don't want a BK over my head. And I probably should have filed looking back at the struggles that I went through in order to pay all that debt at that age. I'd get up at 1 o'clock in the morning, go to work, driving a truck, and then went to real estate school, took a bird bath in the dock warehouse, and I'd go door knocking. So that's how I got into real estate. And I was probably $50,000 in debt when I got into real estate. But I'm a strong personality. So when I put my mind to something, I'm going to just go, right? No matter the odds. So that's just kind of who I am. But okay, enough background.
Yeah, that's great background. So at the point 5 years ago when EXP found you, somebody that, well, talk about what your experience was of getting introduced to EXP and why you ultimately decided to make the move.
Sure. So I owned brokerages. I had partners, had a business divorce, and ended up selling my brokerage in Phoenix to Century 21. Prior to that, about a year prior to that, we were getting flown to New Jersey to potentially convert our 400 agent brokerage to a Century 21 franchise, which was a good opportunity for us at the time. Negotiated a heck of a deal and first right of refusal to acquire another brokerage, and it just wasn't in the cards, didn't work out. So I ended up, business divorce happened, sold the Phoenix brokerage. I kept Solutions Real Estate in Phoenix, opened an escrow company, building it back. And I was profitable, had like 40 agents, and ended up just being disenchanted with my life. And it was almost that everything flashed before my eyes. I was at a EXP event just to go hang out with some friends, and I had no desire to join. I was just hanging out with some long-term friends that were at EXP. And one of my agents called me and said, "Hey, Brent, I need a better deal. Otherwise I'm going to go to 100% shop." And I said, "Okay, well, you're not using my escrow company now. So why don't you use my escrow company? Here's your deal." It was the best deal I've ever given anybody. And he said, "Okay, I appreciate that. I'll get back to you." And when that happened, my life flashed before my eyes. So what am I doing this for? I'm building a business because I want freedom. I'm building, my revenue share at the time was, the escrow company, because the real estate part was only half of the profitability, right? So I needed the escrow in order to be profitable. So anyways, I said, "You know what? I don't want to do this." I said, "Sign me up." And my friends are like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, sign me up before I change my mind." So it was an emotional decision. I'm a very logical person, but I do make emotional decisions. And let that be a lesson to everybody on this call. People make emotional decisions when they're trying to join this company. Okay. And everybody's reason is a different reason. Mine was, I was tired of being treated poorly by my agents. That was my impression, whether it was true or not. That was my impression at the time. And it was really the agent trying to do what's best for him and his business. And I wasn't as developed as I am today to not realize that it was an attack against me at that time. It was just what they were trained to do in this industry, and that's okay. But what it caused me to do is caused me to make an emotional decision. I text my wife, said, "Hey, you can have Solution Real Estate. I'm done. I just joined EXP." And so it was on a whim.
Hold on. Because you said it, and I don't know if everybody on the call caught it. You said you were at an EXP event, not because you were interested in joining EXP, because you went to the event to hang out with friends.
Yeah.
Hello.
They were at the JW Marriott.
And he'll
In the
build his
pool.
planning up in 8 weeks. Hey, listen, don't come to EXP, but come hang out with me at this event. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be supportive for your business. You'll be inspired to meet incredible people. Come hang out with me at this event. Like, don't make it harder than you need to make it.
Yeah.
You get people to the events, and the events do the work because of the emotion that gets spurred when someone attends an event like that.
Well,
So
and
instead of a process that could have been like so painful over a long period of time and attempting to convince you and all these things and multiple, who knows what, you just, went to an event to hang out with some friends that happened to be an EXP event and joined EXP on the other side of it. I want to highlight that that's how easy it can be if you do the work of getting people to the events.
yeah, and I'll expand on that. And so when you're dealing with business owners, and let's use a Keller Williams terminology, an OP, so to speak, or an independent broker owner or whatever, you're not going to convince them of anything. You're really not. Nobody's going to convince me of anything. It's going to be that emotional feeling in the moment, or it's going to be a logical decision making based on math and based on community, right? So which kind of goes back to emotion as well. So I really believe that people make emotional decisions based on a few different things. They based it on who they're going into business with, what they can get out of that's going to supply their ultimate vision, and what's going to solve the need now. And just know that when you're trying to bring in big producers or big players in this industry, if they're really good at what they do, they don't need you. They don't need me, right? And what they're needing is something else that the environment is going to supply, right? And that's what Build does. And so that's what when we were at the pool at JW Marriott, that's what that did. Because of the phone call triggered an emotional response of like, screw this, why am I doing this when I can get rid of all of this and I can just recruit agents and I let the company support them. And so that's how I made that determination. And I was willing at that moment to burn the ships because I had enough, right? After the longevity. And right now in a down market, this is when I started my brokerage years ago in 2008. We were in a down market when we came out of Keller Williams. Our egos were saying, hey, we can do it better. Let's go ahead and go forward, which was fine. That's what helped build the company. But also in a down market right now, their egos are getting hit because they're not excited about the business that they've built because of the industry that's just crushing them right now. So if they have space, if they have leases right now, if they own buildings right now, and their agents went, down to 40% of production of when they used to be at 100% of production a couple of years ago, that's the impression. And so now they're losing 60% of revenue, maybe 40% revenue, whatever they're experiencing. That's the reality for them. And to get in relationship with them, they're not going to tell you that. Okay. They're not going to tell you that.
So I'm going to jump in and just share a specific, because I don't know if you heard, did you hear Gene share this on, I don't even remember what call it was on within the last several weeks, specifically just looking at one company, KW from where KW was at in 2021, they're down 30%, or 2022 rather, down 30% in owner profit, down 37% in profit share, down 8% in royalties, and 43% of the offices are not making profit at all.
Yeah.
But nobody's talking about that.
Right.
That's the
Right.
reality of what's going on. And it's so like, what you bring out is such a great point, because people are not out there posting that stuff on Facebook, but those are the things going on behind the scenes, right? So, and that's just one example, right, of where things actually are at and why the conversations and the relationships become so important.
Yeah, and being in their presence in an environment that actually benefits them, because you're not going to be able to get into an environment that's going to benefit them, like a build conference, like a shareholders meeting, like, EXP Con. You're not going to be able to duplicate that environment for them to actually lower their guard down, start analyzing, wow, this is pretty cool. All these agents are excited about this business. Because a leader that is an entrepreneur or independent owner or franchise owner, or a team leader that has a 5 or 10 person team, a 3-person team or whatever, they're not going to share their weakness. Okay. They're not going to share that they're going through all the struggles that they're going to. This is just human nature. We don't want to look bad in front of others. We don't want to look like we're struggling while other people are succeeding. And even on the level of, hey, this person's one of my friends, but I don't want my friend to know that I haven't sold a house in 60 or 90 days. Okay. And that's going on every single day, but they need you, your friends, your environment that you're in, all the people that you're in relationship with, whether it's a cross sale, whether it's your friend in the industry, whether it's a friend on Facebook or whatever, they need you to at least invite them into your world. Because if they know you care, then they may lower their guard down a little bit to have that conversation with you. And then they'll lower it down a little bit more to tell you a little bit of some of their problems that they're having. And maybe you have to, nudge them a little bit. Hey, I noticed that you're down to 5 listings. You normally carry 15. What's going on? Oh, the market's really tough. Do you have a plan to get back up to 15? I'm trying everything I know how to do. And then, if I could get you on the phone with Rick or Casey, would you make that phone call because they're top producing coaches in the industry and they can probably do a strategy session to what they're doing to succeed in the real estate market? So some of that stuff. So Casey, do you want to direct this conversation? Because I'll go on tangents and all that stuff.
No, that's okay. I'm looking, we're close to the top of the hour. So here's what there was something that came in privately on the chat. And so I'd like to roll this into how we move into how this relates to events, how this relates to relationships. And to protect the innocent, I'm not going to share my screen, but it was somebody who was texting a real estate agent to attempt to recruit them. And so the real estate agent the prospect said, do you have any listings or closed sales? What's your MLS ID? And the person said, I don't yet. It's something I'm working on. I've recently decided to actually make use of my license and start blah, blah, blah. And so the prospect says, this is the problem with companies like EXP, where you can make money in real estate recruiting other agents who produce and have residuals from their production. This guy has zero production, yet tried to recruit me, pitching, pyramid and high splits. People wake up. If you want to be successful in real estate, put in the work and help clients buy or sell in real estate. What would you say? Well, obviously somebody did not have a relationship, did not know the person, is attempting to recruit via text message versus you develop any kind of relationship, hasn't gone through the boot camp to know the systems on how to invite and do that. But what would you say in that instance? And yeah, would love your perspective on that.
Sure,
and then how that relates to the opportunity that we have with something like Build.
Yeah, I totally understand your position. My mentor and business partner is Rick Jiha, and he does about $70 million worth of business. And I'm not focused on personal sales right now. I'm actually helping recruit to our organization because he's the stronger leader. And I just thought because of your production that you would want to be around people like Rick. And so not a problem. If I could get you on the phone with Rick, would you be interested in talking to him? And I would just leave it at that. So here's the thing is everybody on the call is probably, somewhat, I won't say everybody, I'll say somewhat, most people don't like rejection. They're not rejecting you. They're a reflection of what's in their own heart, in their own mind and everything else of whatever they're going through. And if they're frustrated with a recruiting call, then there's something else deeper than that, because or some of the language is off. Maybe you're not in rapport, and maybe it's a spam type text, which they get 15 a day. I get a bunch a day, right? So don't take it personal. Use it to say, okay, what are they saying on their side? And how can I respond intelligently to bring them into the world? And if they don't want to be brought into our world, then that's okay. And move on to the next person. And so some of that, there's attorneys that get the real estate license, but they went through law school, right? I know some of them, and they're at EXP. They have no desire to sell real estate. They have no desire to be an attorney, but they have every desire to build their organization. So if like those are the people that we're in business with, business people that say, wait a minute here, this makes more sense than selling real estate. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this and I'm passionate about it is because my dad was a real estate agent. My grandparents were real estate agents. And my dad owned an office in Huntington Beach, California of like 22, 25 people or something like that. And a lot of his people, when I was 8 years old, at farm neighborhoods for him, I'd wash all their cars growing up. And so I'm very familiar with what it takes to be a real estate agent. But what I noticed as they all got older, they had great lives. They traveled the world. They raised their kids. They did everything that they were supposed to do as agents and family people and all of that stuff. But very, very few that I know retired at a great level by just selling real estate. Okay. And because they didn't buy rental properties, they didn't have an EXP opportunity for cash flow. They didn't own their own offices so they could sell and get a big win. And so when I look at the industry hasn't changed, except for EXP changed it. Right. And now we see all the copycats and all that stuff, but they're not the same company as EXP. EXP's forward thinking. They have relocation department. They have an REO department. They have Infinity program. They have so much that they're bringing to the table to make the agents better. And then on top of that, they've got opportunities for stock, opportunities for rev share for the people that see that as an opportunity. And the business model, this company wasn't necessarily built for everybody to get rich. It was actually the revenue share model was built for people to maybe have their house payment made 3 or 4 times a year. So you could take the pressure off the agents in order to, raise their family, raise their kids. And so like Glenn didn't say, hey, I want everybody to get rich in real estate. I'm going to build a revenue share model. That's not why he built this company. Well, to take the pressure off of the real estate agent. So the peaks and valleys of this business, they can basically have a straight line where the agents can pay their bills, have some relief, have a secondary income, and prosper in this business while doing other things by buying rental properties, starting your other businesses that people own. So when you look at the fundamentals of this company, the foundation has been set by a real estate agent that actually cares about their agents. That's why Glenn's such a great leader. So it wasn't a money thing. And so if you get a bad experience in recruiting, just go next and get stronger. And I was doing this for a while, is just get stronger. And it's short, it's blunt, and there's not a lot of emotion in it, but we've got to figure out how to get stronger emotionally every single day, stronger in our decision-making, stronger in our creating our vision and holding to that vision, stronger in our goals and following through to hit those goals in the process. And so like, if your heart has already chosen that I want to build my revenue share business, and my first goal is $1,000 a month rev share, which is $12,000 a year, which if we're doing the math, if we're going to save up enough money to buy rental properties, you're going to have to save up a tremendous amount of money, 20% down, to buy houses in order to cash flow $12,000 a year. You're over $1 million, especially in Southern California.
Yeah.
It's hard to find. It's hard to find that type of cash flow. So $1,000 a month is like, whatever, I'll just go sell another house. But if that pays for your Mercedes payment, or if it pays for your household or 2 cars, or if it pays for college for your kids or whatever, or maybe that's the contribution to your retirement program in order to buy more rental property later or something, then that is what you should be thinking about, of how do I get to $1,000 a month in rev share? Then how do I get to 2,000? How do I get to 3,000? How do I get to 4,000? Don't think of it as 100,000. And then part of that is, who do I need to become? What do I need to work on as myself? What do I need to get better at in order for other people to be excited to go into business with me? Be excited to be getting this invitation to build, because you have to change it from what's in it for me into what's in it for them. And what's in it for them is the only thing they're thinking about. They're really not thinking that, hey, you're not successful, so I'm not going to follow you. No, I believe it's a communication thing. The presentation, that text message, I think that was probably a text message that shouldn't have been sent because the relationship wasn't there. I think that
Agreed.
you-
Agreed.
you probably should say, hey, I'm having a happy hour, or I'm going bowling and I wanted to invite you to this small event or this thing, or can I take you to lunch to pick your brain how I can become a top producer like you, how I can go get 5 listings in the next 60 or 90 days and stroke their ego, learn something from them. And then now you're in rapport. Now you send them a thank you card. Now you can invite them. Hey, I'm going to this thing called Build. I know you're on your path and at Coldwell Banker or Keller Williams or whatever company it is. And since I'm going and you spent time with me, I've got an extra ticket. Just figured I'd offer it to you as a thank you for, allowing me to pick your brain. I don't want you to join. I just want you to learn. And so
I love
that.
So I like, you have so many nuggets. We need to invite you back because we're 7 minutes past the top of the hour.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's good. So I wanted to kind of just like put everything in a like wrap it up in what you shared. Is number 1 is that be a professional. Number 2 is have a long-term vision. Number 3 is work on yourself. Number 4 is make it about the other person and what's valuable and how to come from contribution and service to them. And then number 5 is continue to become someone that people want to be around and be part of what you're doing. And those 5 things that you talked about, are so key. So Brent, you've created incredible results, incredible impact. You clearly have so much knowledge and wisdom as a result of doing the things. Right. And when I say doing the things, I'm talking about all of the things, from the things that are related to the business to working on yourself personally and committed to being on that journey of continuing to grow and become better. So I am so grateful for your willingness to share with everyone on the call today. We will have you back to go into a deeper dive because I know there's more topics that we want to jump into. However, in the meantime, we will post this call recording on empirebuilders.pro under resources under the recorded calls. We'll post the document of what there is to do over the next 8 weeks, and the immediate action items will be posted in the Empire Builders Pro Facebook group. And to everyone that's on the call today, like, it's always about forward progress and improving. And it doesn't have, improvement happens bit by bit, little by little, day by day, as a result of being committed to it. So I want to acknowledge each one of you for being on the call today, clearly showing up, looking how you can improve, how you can grow. We'll be back here the first week of June on the next builders call, and it will be a continuation of, what we started today. And my invitation to you would be, go out and do the stuff that we talked about and have something to bring to the call in 2 weeks that is, hey, I've been out doing this. Here's been my experience. Would love to hear what other people's experience is, or get some feedback or some support on things that you're actually encountering as you're out there doing the things. So grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you again, Brent, for being here, and make it a great day, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye.